Thank you all so much for being here this morning. If we didn't have such a jam-packed afternoon, I certainly wouldn't interrupt your conversation. I want to welcome you to the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore's 2016 annual meeting. My name is Erica Joseph, and I'm the president here at the foundation, and we sincerely appreciate you being here today and sharing some of your time. I welcome you on behalf of our board of directors, many of whom are here this morning and will be introduced later in our program. I want to thank them for their dedication of time and talent to this wonderful organization and to our community, as well as all those who support us throughout the year in a volunteer capacity. According to your program, it says that we have the pleasure of being joined by Mayor Jake Day for our Pledge of Allegiance in what's probably the best excuse for getting out of any responsibility. He's currently welcoming his second child with his wife, Liz. And so not that he is in any way a substitute, but we have the pleasure of having Colonel Bob Cook join us this morning to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Well, anybody that mistakes me for Jake Day needs glasses. As an old soldier, and I am an old soldier, the law says that I should render the hand salute. But since I'm such an old soldier, I'm going to do it with the hand over the heart since I can't even get it up there anymore. So please join me in a pledge to our wonderful flag of the country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Cook. And today we have a very special treat. I have to imagine that many of you are acutely aware that the political season is upon us. I know that in my very own poll of polls, voters are 100% relieved that it's over next week. To help us celebrate the inevitable end of the world's longest campaign and to focus on the good, I would like to introduce Jeremiah Copeland. Jeremiah is the recipient of the Community Foundation's Norman H. Conway and Evelyn Blows Hole scholarships and is currently a student at Salisbury University. And he is here this morning to provide us with musical entertainment. Jeremiah?
How you guys doing? All right. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountain to the prairie, to the oceans wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. My home, sweet home. My home, sweet home.
Thank you, Jeremiah. That was truly inspiring and certainly a reminder of the very many gifts that we have right here in our community. I would now like to welcome Pastor Martin Hutchinson from the Community of Joy Church for today's invocation. Pastor Martin has allowed the Community Foundation to be part of his expanding effort to grow more than veggies by utilizing community gardens as a basis for community development and youth outreach. We appreciate the opportunity to partner with him in many different ways as this spreads far beyond his initial efforts in the Camden Garden. And I turn it over to Pastor Martin.
Before I lead us in prayer, I would like to say a big thank you to the Community Foundation for the $6,000 that you have invested so far in the Camden Community Garden and the money that you have invested in the Boundless Community Garden and the ongoing efforts that we have to increase the number of community gardens in Salisbury. Thank you. Let us pray. Gracious and generous God, Creator of all that is and giver of everything, we pause in the middle of this day that you have given us to recognize you and all that you have entrusted to our care. The bounty we have been blessed with is not for us alone. Show us how to invest it, that we might do the most good in our community. Thank you for the ability to share what you have given us, that we might encourage others and give programs in our community a boost, and through that, create a stronger, more vibrant community. God, thank you for folks like the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, who guide us in being good stewards of what you have entrusted to us. We are honored to be part of the beautiful work they do in our community. May our time here today, through the connections made and encouragement found, deepen our resolve to be generous with each other. And may we be strengthened by this time together and by the food that you have provided, that our work might honor you. Amen.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the board chair for the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, Mr. John Allen.
Good afternoon. Okay, that's kind of weak. Good afternoon. But is this on? Okay, I've been told to stick to the script. But for those of you that know me, that's not going to happen. So, but BJ, I'll be good. I'll be good. So, I want to start by saying this is going to be really big. It's a big day. It's a great day. I think we had about 350 people register to be with us this afternoon. So give yourselves a round of applause. You know, we use at the Community Foundation the tagline, connecting people who care with causes that matter. And to look out over this room and to think about the relationships that are in this room, the community that's represented in this room, we're blessed. We are truly blessed. We're truly blessed to have individuals that care about one another, that care about our community, and that care about making things better for those that are around us. So my first order of business is to introduce the members of the foundation board. And these individuals are responsible for carrying out the mission of your community foundation. Okay, Jim Allman, Jane Corcoran, Charles Gosley, Dr. Carolyn Johnston, Andy Kim, Duke Marshall, Kathleen McLean, Jim Morris, Melody Nelson, Susan Purnell, Ernie Satchel, Greg Tawes, Lauren Taylor, Lou Taylor, Jim Thomas, Mike Truitt, Dave Voorhees, Gail Widowson, Stephanie Willie, Dr. Julius Zant. Board members that are not here, John Barrett, Tom Coates, and Don Taylor. These are the people that have had to put up with me for the last year, and you have one more to go. Let's give them a hand. I will say they are a great group of people, a caring group of people to work with, and it really has been a pleasure serving as your chair this past year. So at this time, I'd like to give special thanks and recognition to our retiring board members, Jim Allman, Jane Corcoran, and Lou Taylor. So Jim has the unique distinction of being the only person to serve 2 full terms on the board of the Community Foundation, and that's 24 years. And he served 2 terms as the chair. Jane has provided tremendous leadership to the foundation in her role as chair of the Community Initiatives Committee for several years, and is one of the few board members to serve on all 3 of our grant committees throughout her 12-year tenure. And Lou Taylor has been an unwavering advocate for the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, especially in Worcester County during his 12 years on the board, in spite of his increasingly demanding schedule at the Board of Education. So I want to thank each and every one of them. And Jane, Jim, and Lou, after we're finished, we're going to ask you to come forward and accept your Board Service Award on behalf of the Community Foundation in appreciation for your years of dedicated service to the foundation and to our community. So let's give them a round of applause, please. Okay, so now I'd like to call the business meeting of the Community Foundation and our corporate members to order. And we're going to start off with the report from the membership committee. And I'd like to welcome Jim Allman, our membership chair, to share the committee report.
Thank you and good afternoon. This should be brief. The membership committee consists of myself, Cecilia Dennis, Tom Hershey, Duke Marshall, Susan Purnell, Jeff Turner, and Dr. Julius Zant. We met and considered the fact that we have 11 openings on the board. 6 of those positions, we are nominating persons who have not already served on the board. And I'll name everyone and ask that they stand as the name is called so you can consider them for election to the board of directors. So the new nominees for 3-year terms on the board are Morgan Hazel. Morgan could stand. Thank you, Morgan. He was born and raised in Salisbury, Maryland. He's co-owner with his son-in-law of Fixer Upper Fitness here in Salisbury. Morgan is on the Board of Trustees at Warwick Community College, as well as on the Board of Halo. And he's also deeply involved with his church. Morgan and his wife Jeanette have 5 daughters and are expecting a grandson. So thank you, Morgan. Velda Henry. Velda is retired from being the supervisor of human resources for the Worcester County Board of Education. Apparently she wanted to get out before Lou Taylor became superintendent. Velda's on the Board of Trustees for the Blood Bank of Delmarva. She's a member of the Eastern Shore of Maryland Education Consortium, and she's on the Quality Assurance Board of Atlantic General Hospital. Also, she's on the Board of Directors for the Art League of Ocean City, and she's a retired member of the Board of Directors or Board of Trustees for Warwick Community College. Velda resides in Berlin with her little-known husband, Patrick, and thank you, Velda. Todd Hershey. Todd owns the Arby's franchises in Salisbury. He served as chairman of the Atlantic General Hospital Foundation, and he served on the investment committee of that organization. He is involved with the Magi Fund, which supports the Joseph House Center and Christian Shelter, and he's involved with Ducks Unlimited Conservation Group. He resides in West Ocean City with his wife Jennifer and 4 sons. Thank you, Todd. Jim Jones. Jim Jones is our next nominee. He was born and raised in Newark, Delaware. He moved to Salisbury to attend Salisbury University and never left the shore. Jim has been employed by First Shore Federal Savings and Loan for the past 25 years and is the Assistant Vice President and Branch Manager for the Pocomoke City branch. Jim has been involved with a variety of local charities and service clubs, including the Salisbury Jaycees, Snow Hill Chamber of Commerce, Snow Hill Lions Club, Berlin Ocean City Optimist Club, Lower Shore Family YMCA. He's past chairman and past chairman of the Finance Committee for the Pocomoke City Chamber of Commerce, and he's on the Delmarva Discovery Center and Museum. He's been a resident of Snow Hill for 19 years, and he gets Marty Neat's stamp of the champ. So thank you, Jim. Fifth nominee is Dr. Annette Wallace. She could not be with us today, but Dr. Wallace is a lifetime resident of Worcester County. She serves in the United Way Board, the Atlantic General Hospital Corporate Board, the Worcester County Junior Achievement Board, and she's a lifetime member of Spence Baptist Church. Annette is the principal of Pocomoke High School, and she is currently the principal of the year for the state of Maryland, and that's why she can't be with us today, because she has that commitment to attend to. And Lou Taylor could not be where he is today without Annette. She's truly a great educator. George Whitehead, where's George? Dr. Whitehead is a professor emeritus at Salisbury University. He taught in the psychology department for 44 years. In the community, he served as president of the Wicomico County Board of Education, which accounts for some of the gray hair, I suspect, and the Rotary Club of Salisbury. He also chaired the local management board and Salisbury's Promise. George and his wife Barbara reside in Salisbury. They have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Thank you, George. So in addition to those 6 new board members, or hopefully new board members, we have folks that are eligible to be reelected for 3-year terms. They are, and you don't need to stand since you stood earlier, John Allen, Tom Coates, Melody Nelson, Jim Thomas, and David Voorhees. So those are the 11 nominees for the 11 openings on the board of directors. That's my motion. Is there a second? Okay, Lauren, second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you. The only other motion I have is to nominate the individuals to serve on the membership committee for the coming year. And the nominees are myself, Cecilia Dennis, Tom Hershey, Duke Marshall, Susan Purnell, Jeff Turner, and Dr. Julia Sant. Is there a second to that? Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Okay, so if working for the Board of Ed gives you gray hair, working for Delmarva makes you bald. So just look at myself, and yes, John Petito, I'm looking at you as well. And Jim Smith is hanging on to his as much as he can. Okay, so at this time, we're going to have the treasurer's report. So I'd like to welcome Mike Truitt, the treasurer of the Community Foundation, to present the treasurer's report.
Good afternoon. I'm neither gray nor bald, so I like what I'm doing. TGM Group, LLC conducted the Foundation's fiscal year 2016 independent audit. As in all prior years, the auditors issued an unmodified audit opinion which indicates the financial statements fairly reflect the financial position of the Community Foundation. Comprehensive financial statements are available at the Foundation's office or on the Foundation's website at www.cfes.org. As of June 30th, 2016, our assets were $102.3 million. The majority of those assets remain invested in a highly diversified portfolio, which is managed by Mason Investment Advisory Services under the supervision of our investment committee chaired by Tom Hershey. In spite of volatile market conditions, our portfolio continues to perform very well when compared to other community foundations across the country. Thank you.
So I guess I'll entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report. So moved. Second. Any discussion or unreadiness? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor sign aye. Motion carried. Thank you very much. So at this point, I'd like to ask, is there any additional business to come before the foundation at this time? Okay, hearing and seeing none, the corporate meeting of the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore is now adjourned. So I'd like to share with you that, again, it has been really, really wonderful working with the members of the community, working with the staff at the Community Foundation, working with the board members to really try to help to impact lives in our community. And on your tables, you have our annual report, which we are thrilled to share with you today. You'll note as you kind of flip through that we are approaching as a foundation nearly 650 funds. And what you have before you, what I want to share is really a glimpse of the impact that you and we have had with your support in this past year. So this really is an opportunity for us to say thank you, to highlight new funds, to highlight the initiatives that we're working on, and also to honor the memory of special friends of the foundation. Things of note, our report to the community is always a rewarding opportunity, and it allows us to revisit key accomplishments throughout the year and recognize the reach of this organization and the strength that comes from those who invest in this community asset. And so we want to particularly thank those who established new funds this year, which are noted, I would say, on page 6, but I'm not necessarily sure their page number, so you'll have to find it somewhere around the 6th page. And so those who support the foundation through their annual giving, which is following that, and then those that share their time and expertise by volunteering as community members on one of our many community committees. And so the members also of our Legacy Society are noted, and these are individuals who have declared their philanthropic intent to include the Community Foundation in their estate planning. And one of the special moments of this year was the installation of our legacy tree in the lobby of the Community Foundation. And I hope you've had the opportunity to see it up close and personal, but if you haven't, it is highlighted in the annual report. So I'd like to also thank our sponsors, who we are truly grateful to have and to support us and to support our annual report and the annual meeting. So I will name our sponsors: Mason Investment Advisory Services, Avery Hall Insurance Company, Jim Allman and Ayers Jenkins, Gordy and Allman, the Bank of Delmarva, BB&T, Comcast Spotlight, First Shore Federal Savings and Loan, Hebron Savings Bank, Marshall Insurance and Financial Services, Nelson Insurance Agency, PNC Bank, Raymond Shockley, Pam and Mackie Stansel. I'd also like to thank A+ Garden Center at Parkside, CTE for the table arrangements that we have today, Walt Warren of Peninsula Printing for donating our programs, and finally, PAC 14 for recording this event. We appreciate all of those who generously support this annual event and the accompanying annual report. Thank you very much. Let's give them all a hand, please. So my last order of business before I get out of your way and turn things over to our president is the presentation of the Chairman's Award. And each year, the chair of the board has the privilege of honoring one individual for outstanding service to the Community Foundation. Every board member that serves on the board brings a unique perspective, approach, and set of skills to the board. This individual is no exception. But paramount for this board member is their thoughtful nature, commitment to detail, their strategic thinking, their warmth and sincere concern for the well-being of others, and the high expectations that they set for themselves and those around them. They encourage only the highest level of service and performance in everything that they do, and particularly their work with the Community Foundation. The foundation is definitely a stronger organization because of the leadership of this individual. Their business acumen, their critical thinking are only matched by their willingness to be there for events, meetings, or just to have a conversation. Whatever is needed and whenever it's needed. So this year's recipient is a former chair of the board, and it's always said that when a chair leaves, a new chair comes in, it's really difficult to fill their shoes, and that's exceptionally true of our recipient this year. So it's an honor, and as I read through my notes, it looks like I'm getting the award, but I only jest slightly. But actually, it truly is a blessing to work with this individual, and it's an honor and it's a pleasure to present the 2016 Chairman's Award to Melody Nelson.
Well, thank you very much, John. And I just want to thank everybody here today for being here and continuing the support and spirit to the foundation. I have to say I'm going to accept this award today on behalf of the wonderful board of directors that has been the strongest supportive team I've ever worked with. And I have to say as well, the executive committee and without a doubt, the staff has been unbelievable in their transition and their support throughout my tenure. And I'm just grateful to be surrounded by such great people. So thank you. Thank you so much.
It truly has been a blessing working with Melody, and she continues to serve on our executive committee, and she keeps a really close eye on me. And but I really do appreciate her friendship, her mentorship, and everything that not only that she does for the organization, but more importantly, the transition that we've had as an organization. We've been through some ups and downs as an organization, as a board, but everyone has always helped to raise the hands of leadership. So again, I want to thank Melody for her service, for her support, and I also want to thank our board for always being there to lift up the hands of leadership. So once again, please give Melody a hand. So now I get to get out of the way and introduce our president, Mrs. Erica Joseph.
We really didn't tell him to stay on script. Yes, we did. I want to start my remarks this afternoon by giving special thanks to the staff at the Community Foundation. Anybody who works, particularly for a nonprofit, knows that you spend more of your waking hours with your colleagues than you do with your significant others or your children. So I'm really honored to be able to get to work with the team that we have at the Community Foundation. And so I'd like to introduce them individually and ask them to stand, and please ask you to hold your thunderous applause, which I know you will have because these are amazing people, until the end. We'll start with Sharon Dixon, our Finance Director, Victoria Kent, Marketing Officer, Heather Mailer, Program Director, David Plotz, Controller, Pat Strasberg, our Office Administrator, Heather Trader, our Donor Relations Officer, G. Williams, Marketing Director, and last but certainly not least, she's beginning her 20th year with the Community Foundation this year, Miss B.J. Summers, our Development and Donor Relations Director. These are the people that I get to work with every day, that we get to share the joys of children and grandchildren and marriages and then also the challenges of life as well. And so I really appreciate all that they do day in and day out for the Community Foundation, but all that they do for each other and for me as individuals and as friends. Thanks again to our board members, our committee members, the sponsors, and all that shared in making today possible. I would like to highlight this year's gorgeous annual report, which is at your seats, and say thanks to Victoria Kent, who did all of the design work, and longtime friend of the foundation, Suzanne Zilberfarb, who was our editor. Thank you, ladies, very much. And to PAC 14, who makes sure that you can watch this celebration again and again and again. This year is somewhat bittersweet. I know they went through the membership report. And when I joined the foundation, it was just a couple of months later that Jane and Lou and Jim, we know for the second time, joined the board of directors. I've not known this place without them. And while we're all sad to see them retire, we are reassured in knowing that they remain committed to the foundation, and we thank them for their sincere support over the past 12 years, and also remind them that we know where you live. We also have the unique opportunity this year to bring on 6 new board members. What an exciting opportunity, and we thank you for your willingness to serve. Annette, Jim, George, Morgan, Todd, and Velda, welcome to the family. And speaking of family, as years pass, there's always the sobering reminder that sometimes we have to say goodbye. And that's true this year. I had the pleasure of working with Sue Morris for just 1 year on our board, but many more as a dedicated member of our Legacy Society and as our member of our Community Needs Grant Committee. I remember her during grant review meetings where she would remind us of the very simple sentiment that all kids deserve to be loved, educated, exposed to new experiences, and encouraged to succeed. She knew more than anyone that our community is made stronger when we reach out to others who need that hand up. And her lifetime of commitment, not only to our organization, but so many others, will be long remembered. She was a quiet leader in philanthropy and a dedicated volunteer for whom no job was too little or too much to ask. We appreciate all those who have honored her memory and many other generous souls that you'll see on pages 22 to 25 of our annual report. There is nothing more difficult than the loss of a loved one, and we are humbled that so many choose to pay tribute and strengthen our community through the foundation, through those memorial gifts. Connecting people with causes that matter is what motivated our founders to start the Community Foundation. It's not just how we work, but why we exist, because none of the challenges that we see, none of the opportunities that present themselves can be accomplished alone. We see that each and every year, each and every day at the Community Foundation. We see it when local groups, more than 180 last year, come through our doors to use meeting space at the Community Foundation. bringing more than 4,000 people in to collaborate and solve problems and celebrate. We see that in the impact that we have through funds like our Help Your Neighbor Fund that provides small emergency assistance to families in crisis, granting more than $200,000 to the community in the last 10 years. We see that through the Women's Fund, highlighted in our annual report, that has accomplished so much for women and girls in just 5 short years. And for our community needs and field of interest funds that make grants to every type of charitable program, from the arts to the zoo, and in our Legacy Society, where people from across the area, not because of wealth and dollars, but because of wealth and generosity, decide to leave something to the causes they care about. This year's center spread in the annual report captions our mission beautifully: helping create legacies that impact the causes you care about most. And together, we are doing really good things, investing $5.4 million last year to nearly 500 nonprofit organizations. That's $150,000 for every table in this room, simply because somebody created that endowment at the Community Foundation. And there is so much more that we're going to do together. I hope you've heard about Giving Tuesday. If you follow our Facebook page, you certainly have. If you haven't, then today's your lucky day. At your table, there's information, and this November 29th, following Black Friday and Cyber Monday, it's Giving Tuesday. We're working with nearly 60 different nonprofit organizations that are listed on the back to show that the Shore gives more. We have generous support from Delmarva Power, thank you, 47 ABC, thank you, and the Hershey Family Fund, thank you, to help support this effort. But what really matters is that you and your friends and your family visit shoregivesmore.org on November 29th, 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m., and make those contributions. I will note that this year the organizations are in a bit of a friendly competition because we've teamed up with Delmarva Power to help incentivize some key milestones and reward those throughout the day. But the most important thing is that you help us spread the word and that you give. Speaking of giving, one last note, you'll see that in our annual report we always include an annual appeal envelope. We encourage you to give to the foundation, to the causes that you care about in our community, and anything else that moves you so that you can continue to be among our friends of the foundation. Thank you so much again for spending your time with us this afternoon. And now I'll get out of the way and move on to what's the most important, the awards. I do want to give a special thank you to the Governor's Office and to Senator Mathias and Donna Hoy for proclamations for the award recipients. I would like to take this opportunity to invite all of our elected officials to stand so that we can thank you for the service that you do in our community. Next up, Susan Purnell. She's going to be doing our Mary Gladys Jones Volunteer of the Year Award. This award is to honor the sacrifice, commitment, and value of volunteers. Our local nonprofit sector depends on the contributions of thousands of local volunteers, and this award was created to recognize the sustained, unselfish contributions of volunteers in our community who go above and beyond each day. In presenting this award, we are not only honoring the recipient, but all those in our community who take the time to volunteer. Susan?
I know it says that Jim Allman is presenting this, but you're going to see Jim just a little bit later with another award. When I found out that I was giving this award today, I reread the nominating letters, and I stress the word letters to make a point, because usually we get one nominating agency and one nominee, but this year's nominee had letters from 3 different agencies, each one claiming that this person was their volunteer of the year. Each one reported the enormous number of hours of service from this person. And so during one of my sleepless nights, some of you might relate to that, I did the math. This year's volunteer of the year doesn't sleep. He's always out volunteering. His schedule is, frankly, exhausting. Every weekday, he goes by the post office to pick up the mail for Coastal Hospice. He booms a hearty good morning when he walks in the door, and then he sets out to work on the scheduling of the other volunteers and the tracking of their time. Indeed, he's so organized and precise that Coastal Hospice uses this person's figures to report to Medicare. He updates patient charts, he helps the finance department in the billing area, he moves furniture, he sets up display racks at the thrift shop, all of this with a smile and frequently a treat for the staff. He goes between the different hospice offices and apparently has office wives in each one of them who worry about him and call each other to check on him when he doesn't show up, which is rarely. On Saturdays, he's off to the Ward Museum, where Laura, the executive director, claims he is the ambassador of the decade. He greets and engages every visitor with a bellowing, friendly voice. In his docent work there, he accommodates young children and great-grandparents alike, sensing the things that they might be most interested in and tailoring his tour of the museum to meet their needs. Laura says, and I quote, "Due to his keen insights, love of people, and excellent communication skills, he is able to educate, inform, and entertain guests without breaking a sweat. He is the primary event greeter at every Ward Museum special event, and as Laura also points out, he's so good at telling people where not to park." That's a skill. And for the past 9 years, he has also served as a docent for the Salisbury Zoo. For many of those years, serving as the president of the Salisbury Zoological Park Docent Association, an association I had not heard of, guiding and supporting other volunteers. Zoo director Ralph Pilon claims that this person is one of those rare individuals whose extraordinary generosity does more than just aid multiple programs. It fosters connections and communication across the spectrum of the not-for-profit community that results in unanticipated community benefits. This year's recipient is not a Salisbury native. In fact, he hails from Chicago. He's a come here. But he has certainly made Salisbury his home with his selfless community service. After an impressive work history with the Associated Press and Reuters, he fortunately for us landed in Salisbury in 2007, where he hit the ground running. He received the Shorebirds Fan of the Year in 2009 and the Jefferson Award in 2010. And now, in 2016, the Community Foundation is proud to honor Mr. Walt McCabe as the winner of the Mary Gladys Jones Volunteer of the Year Award. Come on up, Mr. McCabe. He's way back at table 11, I think. He's weaving his way through.
Thank you all very much. Greatly appreciate this. Something unusual for me, I am speechless. But thank you all very much for this memorable thing that I've gotten this award. It means a great deal to me. Thank you again, folks. God bless.
Thank you, Susan. Susan is a member, in addition to the board, a member of our award selection committee, and we appreciate her time. We also appreciate the time of Barbara Whitehead, who also serves on that committee, and she is going to present this year's Richard A. Henson Award for Nonprofit Excellence. This award was established in 1989 to honor Richard A. Henson for his generous contributions to our community. It sets a high standard for nonprofits serving the Lower Shore. The organization selected to receive this award must make an outstanding contribution to the well-being of residents by responding to a significant community need, showing ingenuity and innovation, and demonstrating excellence in board leadership and responsibility. The list of past honorees is indeed impressive, reflecting the very best that our community has to offer. In addition to being honored today, the organization receives a $5,000 check to support their work. Barbara?
Good afternoon. In 1999, a need was recognized, and the basis for this organization took form. It started out of the back of volunteers' cars, traveling streets to shelters, soup kitchens, the street and homeless camps. Its purpose was to seek out the poorest of the poor and to offer them a way out of their condition. They were not only poor, homeless, but also totally disenfranchised from their communities. In many cases, they lacked proof of their identity and entry into the social service and health systems that they were in need of. One person at a time was treated with kindness, humility, and given the tools to help the homeless re-enter society. At the same time, the agency continued to grow and collaborate with agencies to improve the services to the poor and homeless in all 3 counties. Today, they participate with 45 different agencies in the Tri-County area. Well, 17 years later, they provided service to 2,000 residents last year. Of particular note is their participation in Salisbury's Housing First program, whose goal is to provide permanent supportive housing for the chronically homeless. They also recognize the need to help with adult dental care for people who are at or below the poverty level. They obtained a grant funding which will help the Wicomico County Health Department for qualified residents in the area to receive continued dental care. It is my honor to present the Henson Award for 2016 to Hope, an outreach point of entry, which is also known as HOPE.
Thank you so much. It's quite an honor to be recognized in this way. As Barbara stated, we started out of the back of cars, and we have grown with the support of churches. Wicomico Presbyterian Church has provided us a space, which was sorely needed. Tom got tired of me piling stuff up on the dining room table. The volunteers that come and that do anything we ask. And speaking of doing anything we ask, a few weeks ago, when I was notified we got this, I called my board together and said, look guys, I need you to be someplace. Not one of them asked why. They just said, okay, we'll be here. We couldn't be where we are without the support of our volunteers, our board of directors, and at this point I'd like my board to please stand and be recognized because we couldn't get this without you. Please. You'd be amazed with what they put up with us sometimes. We couldn't have gotten it without the other agencies in the community that had recognized the need for services to the poor and the homeless. And it's the collaborating agencies that work together to make a change in this community for those that are in need. I'd like to accept this award in memory of somebody that passed in May. Pastor Pat Marble had a heart for the homeless like nobody I ever saw before. And Help and Outreach Point of Entry accepts this award in memory of Patrick Marble. Thank you.
Well deserved. And I'd like to introduce another member of our award committee, Jim Almond, for recognition of this year's Frank Morris Humanitarian Award. The Frank Morris Humanitarian Award was established by the foundation in 1991 to honor his lifelong dedication to the community and the high ethical values and professional standards he exhibited in his personal, professional, and community life. His philanthropic spirit, his integrity, and compassion for others are values that still enrich our community today. They are values that we hold dear and wish to encourage in others. And we annually present this award to recognize an individual who best shows the qualities and exemplary leadership, vision, integrity, compassion, cooperation, and generosity of Mr. Frank Morris. The honoree also receives $1,500 for the charity of their choice. And in recognition of Jim's completion of now full 2 terms, when he comes up, let's give him a round of applause.
This year's recipient for this award is truly an angel that was carefully placed in our community, and she had one special calling, and that is to love, nurture, and teach children and to make a difference in their lives. She's dedicated her entire adult life to that calling. She started it with a 42-year teaching career in Worcester and Wicomico counties. And then, as if that wasn't enough, our recipient, with the help of a good friend, transformed the former Morris Street Colored Elementary School, where she was once a teacher, into the Fruitland Community Center tutorial program. She has been the cornerstone of the center ever since, teaching young people and giving them the dream of success. 33 years later, she's still going. She continues to be a driving force for the center and for the Fruitland community. She gives her talents and her time, as well as her financial support, to foster the educational success of the children. For 33 years, she has kept the doors of the center and her arms wide open, providing students with much-needed love, academics, accountability, discipline, and perhaps most of all, safety. As a result of her commitment, many of her former students, that she calls her children, have achieved goals and reached heights that they never thought attainable. This extraordinary woman's past honors include Citizen of the Year by the Fruitland Chamber of Commerce, Outstanding Senior Citizen of Maryland by the Jaycees of Maryland, an All-Star Volunteer by ShoreCan, the Maryland You Are Beautiful Award, and the Unsung Hero by Shore Living Magazine. And in 2011, the Community Foundation named her the first Volunteer of the Year. But we didn't think that was enough. So would you please join with me in thanking Mary Gladys Jones for all she does.
I am speechless, and that is most unusual for me. Thank you. Thank you so much. And someone is going to be in trouble. This is such an honor, and I'm just so pleased. It's the realization of a dream. I still have a part of my dream to aspire to, but this is absolutely wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so many times.
Another hand for all of our award recipients this afternoon. And thank you again to our presenters. I am sure many of us are familiar with Gandhi's quote of "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." Over the past year, this sentiment has rang more and more true for me, and thankfully, we get to spend our days surrounded by friends like you who are doing just that. You invest in our future leaders, a record $450,000 in scholarships last year, and many new funds established. You preserve our sacred places and spaces and our shared history at the Parsons Cemetery or the Pinnell Museum, and so many more. You're empowered business leaders who work through your companies, your chambers, and your other networks to create communities that people want to live in. You reach out to our most vulnerable and precious residents through efforts at the Cricket Center, MAC, or the Life Crisis Center. You engage in your churches and your synagogues and other places of worship to reach out to those struggling to meet basic human needs, and you provide a safe place for kids after school. You are spending your time and your money, your most precious resources, to be the change that you want to see. On behalf of the entire Community Foundation, our staff, our board, and our volunteers, I want to thank you for spending the afternoon with us. I want to congratulate the award winners again and ask them to come to the podium immediately after the close for more pictures. I want you to look around your table and identify the person who has the birthday coming up next. Tell them happy birthday and encourage them to take the centerpiece along with them. And lastly, I want to remind each of you to continue to be the change that you wish to see in our community. Thank you and have a blessed day.